If you watch game one, which is likely linked in the description and on my channel, if you can't find it, you can just search for it there. You saw how powerful Ruby Sapphire could be when you have what's, I guess you can consider a very good opening hand on the play. I would actually consider it not that strong because you saw, if you watched the match through, that by the midpoint of the game, I was kind of deprived of resources. In this match, though, it's going to be the exact opposite. My friend is going to start off very strong, good one drop into turn two double one drops, whereas I have no one turn or two turn play. Will I be able to survive, or what's going to happen in order for, or what's going to need to happen in order for me to win this matchup here? When we're looking at red-blue, you got to think, like, how am I going to build this deck to best cover its weaknesses? And the version that I have here, I will admit, does not really do that in my opinion. I think that you really want to build the deck to be as resilient against Ruby Steel as possible. I don't think the Ruby Amethyst matchup is nearly as bad as it was prior, because you have more than just a Hiram draw engine. If you watch the North American Championships, you would have seen that Ed specifically targeted the Hiram every time it was played. However, Ruby Sapphire has no way, or sorry, Ruby Amethyst has no way to interact with items, and Maurice's Workshop is a card that can generate you a ton of advantage, and we're going to see that in this matchup here. So finally, on turn 3, I'm going to be able to drop a Fishbone Quill as my first play of the game, and I actually ink one of the two Maurice's Workshops that I had in my hand. I kept one in my opener because you saw how powerful the play of playing the unconventional tool was. If I was able to banish it, let's say on turn 2 when I had 2 ink, I could have banished it with the bell that I think I also kept, and then played it for 1, which would have been really good value there. Nonetheless, though, I'm basically playing to this Be Prepared now. My opponent is already on 9 with a fairly established board. They dropped the Rapunzel as well, but only for a draw 2 off the Mulan. I'm going to ink with Fishbone, drop the Hiram, draw 2. And I'm in trouble here. My opponent's going to go up to quite a hefty amount of lore. I am on 6 ink. We drop the Sapphire Coil and pass. They ink a Pongo and play out a Mufasa. 2 cards left in my opponent's hands, so I've worked through their resources a decent amount. But the issue is, right, I B prep, they hit off this Mufasa. They're likely going to go to 18 or 17 next turn, and I'm stuck with no characters with just the one B prep in hand. So here I'm going to opt to quest with Hiram. There's no point in inking and triggering Sapphire Coil because I'm going to B-prep anyways. We draw into a second B-prep, which is actually a little bit of insurance to cover me for whatever my opponent hits off the Mufasa, plus whatever they play as follow-up as well. You could argue that you don't necessarily need to play as many Be Prepared as previous, 3 to 4, because you get so much amazing mileage off of Sapphire Coil. And again, stay tuned. If you made it this far, you're going to want to watch this video to the end. It's only 13 minutes, but you see some pretty insane stuff. My opponent hits a pretty good hit off the Mufasa in the Surfer Stitch. Yes, it's not a draw 2, but it's a pretty hefty body that can be difficult to deal with. The issue is, well, now all of that strength or lack thereof of strength becomes a huge issue for every single deck in the format because of Sapphire Coil. So here you're going to see me drop the Be Prepared again to clear off the Rapunzel and the Surfer Stitch. We're going to ink and pass because we have no play next, or to continue on this turn with. But we do see Surfer Stitch again, and you will see the interaction come through. My friend drops a Madame Medusa with no target just to put pressure on, and my guess is they have a Super Goof in hand since I saw them ink one on turn 2, and basically at 1 lore, my opponent being at 18, I have to play around Super Goof for the entire game. How is that possible? I either put up 20 lore on the board, which I can do fairly effectively with like the new Tamatoa, playing out a Lucky Dime, and then playing an actual like original Tamatoa, and then diming it after questing with a few other characters on board. But I do have to be very careful, and there's a case to be made that you might want to play Shield of Virtue in Ruby Sapphire as well. I don't want to say play around specifically Super Goof, but just for keeping your characters readied up and protected is just good insurance in a deck that can now ramp very aggressively since you have the Fishbone engine back in your deck, as well as draw through your deck very, very quickly with the Maurice's Workshop and the Hirams here. So here I draw the new Tamatoa, and I've got more than enough ink to play it. Like, this Tamatoa, man, it's pretty good, as I'm sure many of you are very much aware. yeah, there's really not much more to say about it. It's a very, very powerful card. If my opponent wasn't on 18 and reveal that they played Super Goof, I probably would have been trying to quest with this and set up more stuff. But I have to play super safe if I do want to take this game seriously and try to win. Again, this is just testing, and we do make a couple of mistakes here and there throughout the match, but that's neither here nor there. Like, there's an instance, I don't know if I'll catch it when it happens, because I think there's so much stuff on board, it's hard to keep track. But like, I end up playing another one of those Tamatoas, and I only bring back one item when I could have like brought back two, because I, didn't see that I could like pop a popsicle and get it back because it was covered under a bunch of stuff. But yeah, we draw the Scrooge McDuck, and this is where again the Scrooge McDuck is just like, it's really good, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't know. I mean, the Tamatoa, it's good. It's really good. But after playing with Scrooge McDuck a little bit, like, the Scrooge might be better. I know, that's crazy. So here we play Sapphire Coil, pay the extra one. That's why we exerted 3 for the Maurice's Workshop, draw 1. Then we play Scrooge McDuck, scry 4, pick up any item, which is very good in a deck that plays 22 items, which my version it does. Play out the unconventional tool that we got off of the Scrooge McDuck, pay an extra 1 for Maurice's Workshop. If I had a way to banish that unconventional tool, I could pay 1 for another Maurice's Workshop, pay 1 for the Maurice's Workshop on board to draw another card. Now I have 2 workshops up. I'll be drawing up to 2 cards off every item every turn. I have ramp up with the Fishbone Quill. I have Tamatoa. I just need to find Lucky Diamond, the new and the old Tamatoa, and then I start threatening like massive amounts of pressure. In the meantime, though, I do need to keep a decent draw engine up. So you're going to see me not end up playing this Maurice's Workshop, because I do need to keep it to get an extra redraw to hopefully remove whatever they play. So they drop a Mufasa, and that can be a bit of an issue because, again, I have to keep all my stuff readied up because I cannot afford to let my opponent Super Goof me. We play Popsicle. We pay 1 to draw 1 as well off of the Workshop. I banish the unconventional tool to play out the Bell. I pay 1 for Workshop, pay another 1 for the existing Workshop on board to draw 1. We draw into yet another Bell. I'm just explaining to my opponent like what I did there. Yeah, the board is starting to get pretty cluttered there. We've got like 5, 7, 11 ink. We ink again. Now we're on 12 ink. We're going to, because we inked, reduce the Mufasa because of the double Sapphire Coil, reduce him down to 0, a 0-3, crash into him, and take him, or sorry, not crash into him, brawl him away, and now they get a Mother Gothel off of it, and I can crash the Sisu into the Mother Gothel because, again, I don't want to crash anything else into it since that would leave me open to a Super Goof winning the game for the opponent. So I just pass, taking out their Mother Gothel, and my hand is, I think I'll be prepared. No, a Tamatoa, sorry. So my opponent draws and passes, and I'm like, oh, just sitting on those Super Goofs, huh? Which is like, I'm like, yeah, it's like, no, like you have to be sitting on the Super Goof. So here I'm going to obviously try to play out the Tamatoa, and this is where I make a mistake. I don't see the Popsicle on my board, and I don't pop it first, because obviously I could have, like, look how crazy this would have been. I could have paid 3 to draw 3, right? Popsicle, double Workshop. Instead, I pay 1 and then pay an extra 2, so I pay 3 to draw 2, and I still have 3 ink left over that I can't do anything with. Whereas if I would have brought back the Popsicle, that would have been 3 more cards in my hand, and I pointed out afterwards, I'm like, holy crap, I didn't see the Popsicle. I'm dumb. Yeah, that's crazy, eh? My opponent draws, gets to the 8 ink, plays a Sisu, and what do you know, our board is pretty good into opposing Sisus, considering everything on board is above 2 strength. And what's even more crazy is this thing at 5-4. Like, I just ink once, and my double Sapphire Coil puts it down to a 1-4, and then small Sisu takes it out. This is going to be a problem in the metagame, guys. Like, can you see the loops that's happening here? Amethyst will be a good answer, if not the only answer to this deck, because once you get set up, I don't see anything that stops you. I'll flatten them Song and Steel is a good shout, but I mean, you have to deal with their board and their items at this point. It's really tough. The new Tamatoa being a 6-cost inkable that you get out early thanks to ramp, And then having 4 strength also just helps deal with opposing locations pretty well. The Scrooge coming out for free is just free tempo, and it replaces itself with an item off of a Scry 4. Like, these new cards are absolutely insane. The Bell being also just 3 strength if you opted to play her. And I'll cover in my deck list video, which if you want to see that, make sure you're subscribed, some of the different options that you actually might want to play. Like, you can utilize the power of Sapphire Coil so much that you can afford to play like overstated strength characters that are weak on willpower, like Gaston and things, in order to just like keep running over stuff, and your Gaston won't get banished because the willpower doesn't matter, considering you're lowering everything by like 2 to 4 to 6 off the Sapphire Coils. It's crazy. But anyways, yeah, we're going to continue on here. My opponent did indeed have the Super Goof. They dropped it on board with the card Soldiers. We just play out another Sisu. We don't even need to trigger the Sapphire Coils, and we're just going wide, building up to that. Let's quest for game in 1 turn. I just need to find a Lucky Dime here, and we're golden. The opponent, again, with 1 card in hand after inking, I think. No, not inking, sorry. Playing out Mother Gothel. And I'm like, sure, that's fine. And then this is where like I mess up my sequencing a little bit, but like it doesn't really matter. I don't even know what I inked there. But yeah, give Mother Gothel -4, take it out first. So yeah, pay the 3 ink for that Sisu. You know, Mother Gothel becomes a 0/4. I was gonna like, oh yeah, play out of here, but I'm like, no, what am I doing? I gotta play out the unconventional tool. I thought I played that first for some reason. So pay 1 unconventional tool. And then, you know, this is a mistake. Again, thinking about how you resolve things. Pay 1 for the first Maurice's Workshop, see what you draw, then decide if you actually do want to pay 2 for the second Maurice's Workshop, right? I'm just doing everything, you know, just for the sake of time, doing it fast. But yeah, make sure you sequence your things correctly. It could make or break you in terms of winning or losing a match, right? Making sure you have enough ink to do all of your most efficient plays to keep your opponent in check, that kind of thing. So yeah, I just keep doing the, yeah, let me pay 2 to draw 2 instead of continually drawing 1 and seeing what I draw. There's finally the Lucky Dime, and I think I end this match with like 9 cards in my deck that's left. I think I have more cards on my board than I do in my graveyard or my discard and my deck combined at this point, or I guess in my hand too. I was like, yeah, what quested for this turn? Or sorry, what played this turn? So what can I quest with this turn? The Bell, the Sisu, and the Scrooge up top are what I've played this turn. Everything else has been on the board and could quest, so I still can't go for game, but my opponent, again, only on 1 card that's likely a Super Goof. I just need to buy 1 more turn. So what I end up doing here is playing out the other here now, because I thought the first one was the one that I played. But no, it wasn't. We draw into the Tamatoa, and then we pay 2, just drop a Tipo, ink, be prepared off of the other Fishbone there on the board. And I pass turn knowing that I have game. My friend drops a Surfer Stitch. And again, we could ink and then brawl it away if we wanted to, but we don't even need to do that. I show him the Tamatoa Dime, and he's like, yep, that would be game. And he did indeed have the other Super Goof in hand. So we inked 1 in the beginning. He played out 1 after he likely drew the second one there, or the third one, and then kept the third one in hand as his win con. No way to tap down my stuff so that Super Goof can trigger. No other real ways to gain instantaneous lore aside from questing. And this is power creep of a deck like Mufasa, which was I would say a slower tempo-oriented deck. Still a very powerful one, even up until the last set. But it's definitely a bit of a tougher ass to play this with the power level of a deck like Red-Blue. Yeah, here I'm just going through the motions. Yeah, go to 15. But when I quest with the Tamatoa, Happy as a Clam, the new one, I'll be able to play a Lucky Dime for free, and then pay 8, play out the Tamatoa, pay 2, trigger the Lucky Dime on the Tamatoa, and win the game. And just like that, that is the match. If you made it this far in the video, let me know what you think. Thank you again for watching. Hopefully you drop a like on the video. Quantum is out.